Stanley Ipkiss is a quiet, shy man who works at a bank. He lives a simple life and is often pushed around by others. One day, while walking near the river, Stanley finds a strange, old mask floating in the water. The mask looks very unusual, and Stanley feels curious. He takes it home, not knowing that this mask will change his life forever and bring both excitement and chaos into his world. That night, Stanley decides to put on the mask. As soon as he wears it, something magical happens. The mask transforms him into a wild, funny character with bright green skin. He suddenly has superpowers, able to do things he never dreamed of. Stanley becomes energetic, confident, and mischievous. He can stretch, spin, and move in hilarious ways, feeling completely different from his usual self. With the mask on, Stanley starts to call himself the Mask. He becomes bold and daring, doing things he would never try without the mask. He pulls pranks on people, makes funny faces, and dances around the city. The mask quickly gains attention, and people are both amazed and confused by this strange, green-skinned man causing a sensation wherever he goes. Stanley's life starts to become exciting. He meets Tina Carlisle, a beautiful singer who performs at a nightclub. She is charming, and Stanley feels attracted to her. However, he's too shy to talk to her when he's himself. But when he becomes the mask, he feels fearless and full of energy. He dances with Tina in a fun and wild way, surprising everyone, including her. While Stanley enjoys his new powers, trouble is also near. Dorian, a dangerous man who works for a crime boss, is looking for a way to take control of the city. Dorian notices the mask's powers and becomes curious about him. He wants to get the mask for himself, thinking it will give him the power he needs to achieve his dark plans. Stanley starts to realize that the mask has a strange influence on him. When he wears it, he becomes someone completely different. At first, he enjoys the attention and the fun, but he soon notices that the mask often gets him into trouble. The police start to look for the mask because of the chaos he causes around the city. Stanley starts to worry about the problems he might face. One night, the mask visits the bank where Stanley works. With his new confidence and powers, he plays tricks on the bank's security, making everyone laugh and wonder what's going on. He takes some money, which leads to more trouble with the police. Although Stanley only wanted to have fun, he realizes that the mask's actions might cause serious problems for him. As the days pass, Stanley learns more about the mask's magic. It's not an ordinary mask, it has ancient powers that change whoever wears it. Stanley discovers that the mask makes people act in extreme ways, reflecting their inner thoughts and desires. For him, it brings out a side of him he didn't know he had, a side that is wild, bold, and adventurous. Stanley tries to control the mask's powers, but it's difficult. Each time he puts it on, he becomes the mask, and it's hard to stop his mischievous behavior. He wants to impress Tina, but he doesn't want her to only know the mask. He wishes he could talk to her confidently without needing the mask's powers. Stanley starts to question what he really wants. Meanwhile, Dorian learns more about the mask and decides to steal it from Stanley. He wants to use the mask's power to become strong and fearless. Dorian believes that with the mask, he can control the city and gain respect. Stanley realizes that he must protect the mask, or it will end up in dangerous hands, causing harm to innocent people. One evening, Dorian's men manage to take the mask from Stanley. Dorian wears it, transforming into a terrifying version of himself. With the mask's powers, he becomes stronger and more threatening than ever. Stanley feels scared, knowing that the mask's power in the wrong hands can be dangerous. He decides to take action to stop Dorian and save the city. Stanley knows he can't fight Dorian on his own. He reaches out to Tina for help, explaining the situation. Tina believes in Stanley and agrees to support him. Together, they come up with a plan to get the mask back from Dorian. Stanley feels hopeful, knowing that with Tina's help, he might have a chance to set things right and bring back peace. Tina goes to meet Dorian at his hideout. She pretends to be on his side, tricking him into thinking she agrees with his plans. Meanwhile, Stanley waits nearby, ready to take back the mask. When the moment is right, Tina signals Stanley, and he rushes in to grab the mask from Dorian. A tense struggle begins, as both men try to control the mask's power. With courage and determination, Stanley manages to get the mask back. He puts it on, transforming into the mask once again. Using his powers, he confronts Dorian and his men, defeating them in a funny yet powerful way. The people around cheer as Stanley, with his bright green face and wild energy, outsmarts the criminals, bringing justice to the city. After the battle, Stanley realizes he has a choice. He can keep the mask and continue living this double life, or he can let go of it and try to be himself. Stanley looks at Tina and decides that he wants to be with her as himself, not just as the mask. He wants to be confident on his own, without relying on the mask's powers. Stanley goes to the river where he first found the mask. He holds it one last time, thinking about all the adventures it brought him. Then, he tosses the mask back into the water, letting it float away. Stanley feels free, knowing he no longer needs the mask to feel special or confident. He's ready to live a happy life as himself, with new confidence. With the mask gone, Stanley starts to enjoy life in a new way. He learns to be more assertive and to stand up for himself without the mask's help. His experiences taught him the importance of self-confidence and courage. People around him notice the change, and Stanley feels happier knowing he is respected for who he truly is. Stanley and Tina begin a relationship built on trust and understanding. Tina appreciates Stanley's true self, not just the wild character he became with the mask. Stanley feels grateful for the journey he had and for the lessons he learned. He realizes that the best way to impress others is by being genuine, not by putting on a mask. In the end, Stanley finds happiness, knowing that true strength comes from within. His journey with the mask taught him about self-discovery and the power of being oneself. He no longer needs magic to feel special. Stanley's story reminds us that while a mask may make us feel powerful, the best version of ourselves is the one we are without it.